meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The big bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.
Reasonably sure we're going to tweak that intro, but needless to say, welcome to the second episode. This is just something that's very special to me. Law of One. I've had a lot of people are already asking like some really in-depth questions, especially around the Trinity, around God, and around the whole concept. I kind of want this sort of play out the way it does. I think there's a beauty in how this process works. And this was how I came upon the information. I gave you guys a little bit of a heads up just because it was confusing for me the first time through it, which is that like love, light, love, and teach, learn, teach, and all of that. But it's to me, it's just something that really helps round out a lot of stuff that just isn't really talked about in other places. And talks, pyramids, talks about the potentiality of other races. There's been a lot of talk of that, right? Like, there's a lot to be said about channeled information. It's something that all of us actually do and can do. Most of us don't play with it or try it. Some people think it's bad. It's just one of those things that everything that's channeled needs to go through like a filter. That's really the hard part about channeling, is that any sort of beliefs that you have as an individual, when you channel information, it gets filtered through those beliefs. It's just how it works, like it or don't like it. People want to say, I'm a pure channel. It's like, well, you got a lot of crazy beliefs, and those crazy beliefs actually do come out. It's like Play-Doh, Play-Doh Fun Factory, right? You shove it in there, and you pull down the lever, and, a star-striped spaghetti-looking thing comes out. But it's, still what it is. So we've got to work through some of our filters. Now, I will say, from the standpoint of a lot of people asking about the God component, first off, I believe they reference source, creator, something along those lines. So it's got this monotheistic concept built into it, which is what I've always believed. And I mean, there was growing up, I'm a Catholic, I was brought up Catholic or whatever. I wouldn't call myself a Catholic right now. But the Nicene Creed, right? I believe there's only one God, the Father, Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. Like, it was kind of baked into it. I've really evolved my understanding of things a lot, and I keep some of that a little private just because it's different for most people. Like I am. That's my upbringing is definitely Christian, without a doubt. Wanted to be a priest for a while, and this actually hit me at a reasonably young age. And it is. I've known people that were channelers. I've done channeling too. Like, I mean, it's all of us can do it. A lot of it came probably way back when, like, 90s, early 90s, when I started reading Conversations with God. And I started playing with auto writing, and man, I got journals. I still have them. I got some stuff that I did, and it's just, I realized a lot of things. And most people like, well, I want to know the future, and it's like, for me, it's like I always knew I was here for a reason. So I'm like, I got to understand whatever I don't know. It was weird. It was one of those things where when I found good information, I just gobbled it up, and there was I was living with an individual at one point that had a really bitchin' book collection, and it was like one of the lowest parts of my life, but that was one of the beautifulest things that happened. And again, a very gifted lady. And so just there's been so many weird things that have been laid out in my life, and this was part of that. And this was one of those things that when I first saw it, I just gobbled it up. I couldn't stop. I was printing out. I don't remember where I was, but I had access to a printer, and it didn't cost me any money to print it all day long. So I printed the hell out of this stuff and read it. And this was something that was like, okay, this is rounding out a lot of the crazy that I've always wondered about. So we're going to get into it. The one thing, pyramids, like I said, we talk, I think both of these even cover that. 2 filters. Carla, she's actually always holding the Bible. So just for a lot of you guys, again, that God part, Carla, the girl that's actually channeling this information, and she was the only one that really it just dialed in perfectly. So they put the incense where it is, and they got the water where it's at, and they put the love in the water, and she's holding her Bible, or the Bible's open, I should say, to a specific verse, and I don't remember what it is, sorry. But this is definitely something that's one of her filters for sure. So again, channeling is always filtered by the person that's giving it. This is just a group that went to great lengths to really try to make sure they had as clean a channel as they could possibly make. And I think they did a reasonably good job. They asked some really cool questions, and we're going to find out about some stuff that you might have wondered about. That's what this whole thing is about. And service to self, service to others, the densities, dimensions, like there's so much information in here that is never talked about in the Bible. Like, I wish it was, and it needs to be, and it needs to be regular information. So it's also one of the things I love about this Law of One material, is it really does get into kind of more of a daily sort of thing and a good understanding of what's going on around us. So I think that kind of gets a good thing going. Now, I'm not taking any questions till later. We'll try to finish off what we got, but we're going to start with the first one. It's about 12 plus minutes. I'll chat about it a little bit after. And then we've got the second one. It's about 15 plus minutes. Chat about it a little bit after. It's kind of the way we've been doing this. And then we'll kind of open up to questions or anybody that's out there. I'll drag the thing on the screen and see what people are thinking about. But again, we're talking about kind of the pyramids today, and also just making sure that they handle Carla properly. They've become aware in the first couple sessions that they need to make sure things are in the right angle, and it gets ridiculously anal. But once they dial that in, it seems like it helps in the big picture. All said, this is Law of One, Session 3, on the Fringe. The Law of One, Session 3, recorded January 21st, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in love and the light of the one infinite creator. I communicate with you now. Questioner. My first question is, did we correctly perform the ritual of starting the communication? Ra. I am Ra. The placement of the artifacts designed to balance the instrument should be placed at the instrument's head for the least distortion of effect. The remainder of the beginning account of purpose is quite acceptable for those speaking desire to serve. Otherwise, the attendant emphasis in mind complexities would not have been affected properly. We caution you to guard against those that are not wishing to serve others above all else from taking part in the beginning or in the lending their distortions of mind-body-spirit complex to any session, as we should then be able to properly blend our distortions with those of this instrument. Questioner. Should I move the Bible, candle, and incense at this time? Ra. I am Ra. This would be appropriate. Questioner. After moving the items. Is this the proper position? Ra. I am Ra. Please correct the angle of the incense so that it is perpendicular to the plane of 20 degrees north by northeast. Questioner. After making the correction. Is this satisfactory? Ra. Please check your eye to make fine correction. We will explain the process by which this becomes a significant distortion balancer. The incense acts as an energizer to the physical body of this instrument, signifying its humanity. This is, therefore, a necessity that the wafted smoke is perceived from the same relative angle as the instrument perceives the opened Bible, balanced by the lighted candle signifying love light and light love, and therefore give the mental and emotional, shall we call it, distortion complex of this instrument the sight of paradise and peace with which it seeks. Thus, energized from the lower to the higher, the instrument becomes balanced and does not grow fatigued. We appreciate your concern, for this will enable our learning to proceed more easily. Questioner: does it appear correctly aligned now? Ra: I judge it within limits of acceptability. Questioner: at the last session, we had 2 questions we were saving for this session. One having to do with the plausible capstone of the Great Pyramid at Giza, the other, inaudible heavy blocks. I know these questions are of no importance at all with respect to the Law of One, but it was my judgment, which you may correct, that this would provide an easy entry for the reader of the material. We are grateful for your contact and will certainly take suggestions about how we should proceed with this. This is just one guess. Ra: I am Ra. I will not suggest the proper series of questions. This is your prerogative as free agents of the Law of One, having understood that our social memory complex cannot effectually discern the distortions of the societal mind-body-spirit complex of your people. We wish now to fulfill our learning, honor, responsibility by answering what is asked. This only will suffice, for we cannot plumb the depths of the distortion complexes which infect your peoples. The first question, therefore, is the capstone. We iterate the unimportance of this type of data. The so-called Great Pyramid had 2 capstones. One was of our design, and was of smaller and carefully contrived pieces of material upon your planet, which you call granite. This was contrived for its crystalline properties and the proper flow of your atmosphere via a type of what you would call chimney. At a time when we as a people left your density, the original was taken away and a more precious one substituted. It consisted in part of a golden material. This did not change the properties of the pyramid, as you call it, at all, and was a distortion due to the desire of the few to mandate the use of the structure as a royal place only. Do you wish to query further upon this first question? Questioner: what did you mean by chimney? What was the specific purpose? Ra: there is a proper flow of your atmosphere which, through small, freshens the whole of the structure. This was designed by having airflow ducts, as the instrument might call them, situated so that there was a freshness of atmosphere within any disturbance or draft. Questioner: how are the blocks moved? I am Ra. You must picture the activity within all that is created. The energy is, though finite, quite large compared to the understanding distortion of your peoples. This is an obvious point well known to your peoples, but little considered. This energy is intelligent. It is hierarchical. Much of your mind-body-spirit complex dwells within a hierarchy of vehicles and retains, therefore, the shell or shape or field and the intelligence of each ascendingly intelligent or balanced body. So does each atom of such a material as rock. When one can speak to the intelligence, the finite energy of the physical or chemical rock body is put into context with that infinite power which is resident in the more well-tuned bodies, be it human or rock. With this connection made, a request may be given. The intelligence of infinite rockness communicates to the physical vehicle, and that splitting and moving which is desired is then carried out through the displacement of that energy field of rockness from finity to a dimension which we may conveniently call simply infinity. In this way, that which is required is accomplished due to the cooperation of the infinite understanding of the Creator indwelling in the living rock. This is, of course, the mechanism by which many things are accomplished which are not subject to your present means of physical analysis of action at a distance. Questioner: I am reminded of the statement, approximately, if you had enough faith, you could say to a mountain to move, and the mountain would move. I assume this is approximately what you are saying, and I am assuming that if you are fully aware of the law of one, then you are able to do these things? Is this correct? I am Ra. The vibratory distortion of sound faith is perhaps one of the stumbling blocks between those of what you may call the infinite path and those of the finite proving understanding. You can precisely correct in your understanding of the congruency of faith and intelligent infinity. However, one is a spiritual term, the other more acceptable perhaps to the conceptual framework distortions of those who seek with measure and pen. Questioner: then if an individual is totally informed with respect to the law of one and lives and is the law of one, such things as the building of a pyramid by direct mental effort would be commonplace. Is that what I am to understand? Am I correct? Ra: I am Ra. You are incorrect in that there is a distinction between the individual power through the law of one and the combined or societal memory complex mind-body-spirit understanding of the law of one. In the first case, only the one individual, purified of all flaws, could move a mountain. In the case of mass understanding of unity, each individual may contain an acceptable amount of distortion, and yet the mass mind could move the mountain. The progress is normally from the understanding which you now seek to a dimension of understanding which is governed by the laws of love, which seeks the laws of light. Those who are vibrating with the law of light seek the law of one. Those who vibrate with the law of one seek the law of foreverness. We cannot say what is beyond this disillusion of the unified self with all that there is, for we still seek to become all that there is, and still are we Ra. Thus, our paths go onward. Questioner: was the pyramid then built by the mutual actions of many people? Ra: I am Ra. The pyramid which we thought built were constructed from thought forms created by our societal memory complex. Questioner: then the rock was created by thought and place rather than moved from somewhere else? Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. We built with everlasting rock the Great Pyramid, as you call it. Other of the pyramids were built with stone to move from one place to another. Questioner: what is everlasting rock? Ra: I am Ra. If you can understand the concept of thought forms, you will realize that the thought form is more regular in its distortion than the energy fields created by the materials in the rock, which has been created through thought form. From thought to the finite energy and beingness in your, shall we say, distorted reflection of the level of the thought form. May we answer you in a more helpful way. Questioner: this is slightly trivial, but I was wondering why, in that case, the pyramid was made of many blocks rather than the whole thing being created at once. Ra: I am Ra. There is a law which we believe to be one of the more significant primal distortions of the law of one. That is the law of confusion. You have called this law the law of free will. We wished to make a healing machine or a time-space ratio complex which was as efficacious as possible. However, we did not desire to allow the mystery to be penetrated by the people in such a way that we became worshipped as builders of a miraculous pyramid. Thus, it appears to be made, not thought. Questioner: well, then when you speak of the pyramid, especially the Great Pyramid, I assume as primarily a healing machine and also spoke of it as a device for initiation. Are these one and the same concepts? Ra: they are part of one complex of love, light, intent, sharing. To use the healing aspects properly, it was important to have a purified and dedicated channel, or energizer, for the love light of the infinite creator to flow through. Thus, the initiatory method was necessary to prepare the mind, the body, and the spirit for service in the creator's work. The two are integral. Questioner: does the shape of the pyramid itself, is that a key function in the initiation process? Ra: this is a large question. We feel that we shall begin and ask you to reevaluate and ask further at a later session. This somewhat, shall we say, informative point. To begin, there are two main functions of the pyramid in relation to the initiatory procedures. One has to do with the body. Before the body can be initiated, the mind must be initiated. This is the point at which most adepts of your present cycle find their mind-body-spirit complexes distorted from. When the character and personality, that is the true identity of the mind, has been discovered, the body then must be known in each and every way. Thus, the various functions of the body need understanding and control with detachment. The first use of the pyramid, then, is the going down into the pyramid for the purpose of deprivation of sensory input so that the body may, in a sense, be dead and another life begin. We advise at this time any necessary questions and fairly rapid ending of this session. Have you any query at this time space? Questioner, the only question is there anything that we have done wrong, or is there anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable? Ra, we scan this instrument. This instrument has been much aided by these precautions. We suggest only some attention to the neck, which seems in this body distortion to be the distorted in the area of strength weakness. More support, therefore, to the neck area may be an aid. Questioner, should we have her drink the water from the chalice behind her head after we charge it, or should we use a different glass of water? Ra, that and only that chalice shall be the most beneficial as the virgin material living in the chalice accepts, retains, and responds to the love vibration activated by your beingness. I am Ra. I will now leave this group rejoining in the power and peace of the one Creator, Adonai. So he gets deep into the woods here, obviously, with some stuff, but we're starting to kind of open the doorway to, one, how creation kind of works, but two, the pyramids, what the intention was. Again, this is something that at the time I was very, very interested in, and also something that I had heard. I think I found this later. I don't know. It's hard to know chronology at this point, but that quite likely that Jesus, that individual, actually went through the training at the pyramids. This is one of the things I've come to that are in sources that are outside of some of the standard sources that people read. And I found that to be very interesting, and come to find that there is a lot of information to back up the fact that one of the things that the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza anyways, was good for was this ability to create a specific energy vortex, like place of focus. A guy that I'm very into, Drunvalo Melchizedek, I've got I usually reference his books, the Flower of Life stuff. He talks a lot about it and the angles. Needless to say, they supposedly moved the sarcophagus a little over inside the Great Pyramid. I've never been there, but they moved it supposedly, and when they did, they took it out of the alignment where the spot was. This was a thing that many, many masters or ascended spiritual individuals would use. If you weren't ready, it was very dangerous. I mean, there was a lot to it. It wasn't just like one of those things where you'd want to do it. I mean, there was a lot of talk of people that went down into the darker regions within the bottom. There's a chamber that goes down, and a lot of people had visual beliefs, like they were basically they were seeing shit, and they thought that there was like snakes. In a lot of cases, it was snakes or some sort of bug that kills. And these people would die. There'd be no reason to assume they died from bug bites or snake bites, but that's what they apparently had some sort of reaction and died. Heart attack, probably. But it messes with your head, and if you're not ready for that, I think there's a level of, it enhances fears. There's some psychedelics out there that kind of do that. If you're not in the right frame of mind, it's not a good idea to do it. I'm not trying to, talk on that or not, but whatever the case is. So one of the things at the beginning, careful who charges the water. It's just something that it stands out to me. Water's amazing, and it's worth bringing up. You can charge water. It's like when you do blessings or grace before eating. You're basically charging your food. So put love into your water. Put happiness into it. When you're watering your plants, do the same. The water that you're going to use, put love into it. Just do a moment and just put your hands around the pitcher and just think loving thoughts. Realize you're blessing this water, that it's a part of your life, a part of your reality. And then pour it where you're going to pour it and watch what happens. Watch the difference. Seriously, prove me wrong. I dare you. Also, the rock is alive. They work with that consciousness, with the consciousness of the rock's frequency. A lot of it's just energy. right? And they're using terminologies back in the 80s, 1981, January 21st. So they're using terminologies back in those times that fit, that Carla understood, that filters, again, like we've all said. So they're using the consciousness of the rock and also the consciousness of the people around, right? So when they built these pyramids, they had to happen in such a way that people could believe they exist. And so the individual that created them was very pure. That's what he talks about, very pure of his being, his energy. Many suggest it's the character Thoth, the bird-headed, human-bodied individual. He's got a few different names, but ultimately I feel like that's one of the people that gets dialed into who created the Great Pyramid of Giza. And all sorts of fun stories around Thoth. The emerald tablets, they talk about him a bunch. Like it's very cool. It's very cool stuff. But neither here nor there. I don't know if it ever gets brought up actually in this Law of One stuff. I forget. It's been a while. So the rock is alive. People got to believe that it can be put there. We got this thing called Law of Confusion. They talk about that, where if you're not ready to believe it, it's got to actually be something that you can be like, well, yeah, just a bunch of slaves cut rocks and then like hauled them, hundreds of miles on rollers and then got them elevated up because they built ramps that were obviously able to do that. And that's how they built them. Duh. Versus those of a lot of other people that are like, there's no damn way that was possible, so something else has to be going on here. The precision, the fact that you can't even slide a piece of paper between some of these, yes. And the fact that there's so many interesting stories, and there were no hieroglyphics. I think there might have been some. I don't know. There were no hieroglyphics at all inside of these. These were not for burials, even though they keep calling them that. And there's a king's chamber and a queen's chamber, right? And there's it's like a sarcophagus type thing, but there was never a body in it. It was always for the initiate that was going to go through the rites of the pyramids. That Drunvelo guy talks a lot about it. So Law of Confusion allows other people to believe whatever the hell they want. It is what it is. The initiation process, it's just one of the things that's very popular belief structure around the Great Pyramid. I know there's a lot of people talking about it right now, and that's cool. Like I said, this is just something I've been digging up for years. Get your hands on books. When the internet first got kind of crazy, like just spend hours, because I worked overnights at a place that had really good internet, so I had nothing else to do. So again, there was just a lot of fun places that I've found a lot of ideas and sort of cobbled together something that I think starts to make sense. And we are in a time where, like I've said frequently on my show, like I'm a teacher of teachers, and I am. The people that are really kind of getting up to speed on the Law of One right now, you guys are the ones that are going to be totally helping all the people that are just going to be starting to wake up. I know, because and it sucks, but this is what we're here to do, and this is a big part of kind of understanding the bigger picture, I think, and just the way, just trying to put the Law of One into a simple. Like I don't think I could summarize the entire thing. It would be so hard. It's fun though when you go to the Law of One page. They have it broken down, and there's different ways you can search on it, different like densities and stuff like that. There's so much really amazing information in this, and so I hope you guys enjoy the journey with me. We're gonna kick off the fourth one, and this kind of continues the same basic discussion. And then we'll cut it. We'll pull it from there. I'll finish off my little whatever notes I got, and then we'll ask some questions. We'll see if anybody's got anything to say or any questions about anything. We'll see. I've dug into a lot of this stuff. So far I'm not. I could probably talk on it a little bit, anyways. All said. We'll let you guys make the decision yourselves. But here's session 4, recorded obviously after January 21st. Right here. I wanted to say musical spotlight, but it's Law of One, whatever the hell we're calling the show, on the Fringe though. This is session 2. The Law of One, Session 4, recorded January 22nd, 1981. Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite creator. I communicate now. Questioner. Finishing the last session, I had asked a question that was too long to answer. It had to do with the shape of the pyramids and its relationship to the initiation. Is this an appropriate time to ask that question? Ra. I am Ra. Yes, this is an appropriate time-space to ask that question. Questioner. Does the shape of the pyramid have effect upon the initiation? Ra. I am Ra. As we began the last session's question, You have already recorded in your individual memory complex the first use of the shape having to do with the body complex initiation. The initiation of spirit was a more carefully designed type of initiation as regards to the time-space ratios about which the entity to be initiated found itself. If you will picture with me the side of the so-called pyramid shape and mentally imagine this triangle cut into 4 equal triangles, you will find the intersections of the triangles, which is at the first level on each of the 4 sides, forms a diamond in a plane which is horizontal. The middle of the plane is the appropriate place for the intersection of the energies streaming from the infinite dimensions and the mind-body-spirit complexes of various interwoven energy fields. Thus, it was designed that the one to be initiated would, by mind, be able to perceive and then channel this, shall we say, gateway to intelligent infinity. This, then, was the second point of designing this specific shape. May we provide a further description of any kind to your query? Questioner: as I understand it, then, the initiate was to be on the center line of the pyramid, but at an altitude above the base as defined by the intersection of the 4 triangles made by dividing each side into 4 triangles. Is that correct? Ra: this is correct. Questioner: then at this point there is a focusing of energy that is extra-dimensional in respect to our dimension? Am I correct? You may use that vibratory sound complex. However, it is not totally and specifically correct, as there are no extra dimensions. We would prefer to use the term multi-dimensions. Questioner: is the size of the pyramid a function in effectiveness of the initiation? Ra: I am Ra. Each size pyramid has its own point of streaming in of intelligent infinity. Thus, a tiny pyramid that can be placed below a body or above a body will have specific and various effects depending upon the placement of the body in relationship to the entrance point of the intelligence infinity. For the purpose of initiation, the size needed to be large enough to create the expression of towering size, so that the entrance point of multi-dimensional intelligent infinity would completely pervade and fill the channel, the entire body being able to rest in this focused area. Furthermore, it was necessary for healing purposes that both channel and the one to be healed be able to rest within that focal point. Questioner: is the large pyramid at Giza still usable for the purpose, or is it no longer functioning? Ra: I am Ra. That, like many other pyramidal structures, is like the piano out of tune. It, as this instrument would express, plays the tune, but oh so poorly. The disharmony jangles the sensitive. Only the ghost of the streaming still remain due to the shifting of the streaming points, which is in turn due to the shifting electromagnetic field of your planet, due also to the discordant vibratory complexes of those who have used the initiatory and healing place for less compassionate purposes. Questioner: would it be possible to build a pyramid and properly align it and use it today with materials we have available? Ra: I am Ra. It is quite possible for you to build a pyramid structure. The material used is not critical, merely the ratios of time-space complexes. However, the use of the structure for initiation and healing depends completely upon the interdisciplines of the channels attempting such work. Questioner: my question then would be, are there individuals incarnate upon the planet today who would have the necessary interdiscipline to, using your instructions, construct and initiate in a pyramid that they built and then possibly do it again? Is this within limits of what anyone can do on the planet today, or is there no one available for this? Ra: I am Ra. There are people, as you would call them, who are able to take this calling at this nexus. However, we wish to point out once again that the time of the pyramids, as you would call it, is past. It is indeed a timeless structure. However, the streamings from the universe were, at the time we attempted to aid this planet, those which required a certain understanding of purity. This understanding has, as the streamings revolve and all things evolve, changed to a more enlightened view of purity. Thus, there are those among your people at this time whose purity is already one with intelligent infinity. Without the use of structures, healer-patient can gain healing. May we further speak to some specific point? Questioner: is it possible for you to instruct healing techniques if we could make available these individuals that have the native ability? Ra: I am Ra. It is possible. We must add that many systems of teach learning, the healing patient nexus, are proper given various mind-body-spirit complexes. We ask your imagination to consider the relative simplicity of the mind in this earlier cycle and the less distorted, but often overly complex, views and thought-spirit processes of the same mind-body-spirit complexes after many incarnations. We also ask your imagination to conceive of those who have chosen this distortion of service and have removed their mind-body-spirit complexes from one dimension to another, thus bringing with them in sometimes totally latent forms many skills and understandings which more closely match the distortions of the healing patient process. Questioner: I would very much like to continue investigation into the possibility of this healing process, but I am a little lost as to where to begin. Can you tell me what my first step would be? Ra: I am Ra. I cannot tell you what to ask. I may suggest that you consider the somewhat complex information just given and thus discover several avenues of inquiry. There is one health, as you call it, in your polarized environment, but there are several significantly various distortions of types of mind-body-spirit complexes. Each type must pursue its own learned teaching in this area. Questioner: I would assume the first step would be to find an individual with ability brought with him into this incarnation. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner: Once I have selected an individual to perform healing, it would be helpful to receive instruction from you. Is this possible? Ra: I am Ra. This is possible given the distortions of vibratory sound complexes. Questioner: I am assuming then that the selected individual would necessarily be one who is very much in harmony with the law of one. Though he may not have any intellectual understanding of it, he should be living the law of one. Is this correct? Ra: I am Ra. This is both correct and incorrect. The first case, that being correctness, would apply to one such as the questioner itself, who has the distortions towards healing, as you call it. The incorrectness, which shall be observed in the healing of those whose activities in your space-time illusion do not reflect the law of one, but whose abilities has found its pathway to intelligent infinity, regardless of the plane of existence from which the distortion is found. Questioner: I'm a little confused. I partially understood you. I'm not sure I fully understood you. Could you reiterate that in another way? Ra: I can restate this in many ways. Given this instrument's knowledge of your vibratory sound complexes, I will strive for a short distortion at this time. Two kinds there are of those who can heal. Those, such as yourself, who, having the innate distortion towards knowledge giving of the law of one, can heal but do not. And those who, having the same knowledge, but showing no significant distortions consciously towards the law of one in mind, body, or spirit, yet, and nevertheless, have opened a channel to the same ability. The point being, there are those who, without proper training, shall we say, nevertheless heal. It is further item of interest that those whose life does not equal their work may find some difficulty in absorbing the energy of intelligent infinity, and thus become quite distorted in such a way as to cause disharmony in themselves and others, and perhaps even find it necessary to cease the healing activity. Therefore, those of the first type, those who seek to serve and who are willing to be trained in the thought, word, and action, are those who will be able to comfortably maintain the distortion towards service in the area of healing. Questioner: Then it would be possible for you to train us in healing practice? Ra: I am Ra. It is possible. Questioner: Will you train us? Ra: We will. Questioner: I have no idea of how long this will take, or if you can even tell anything about it. Is it possible for you to give me a synopsis of the program of training required? I have no knowledge of what question to ask at this point. I'll ask the questions in hopes that it makes sense. Ra: I am Ra. We consider your request for information, for as you noted, there are a significant number of vibratory sound complexes which can be used in sequence to train the healer. The synopsis is a very appropriate entry that you might understand what is involved. Firstly, the mind must be known to itself. This is perhaps the most demanding part of healing work. If the mind knows itself, then the most important aspect of healing has occurred, for consciousness is the microcosm of the law of one. The second part has to do with the disciplines of the body complexes. In the streamings reaching your planet at this time, these understandings and disciplines have to do with the balance between love and wisdom in the use of the body and its natural functions. The third area is the spiritual, and in this area the first two disciplines are connected through the attainment of contact with intelligent infinity. Questioner: I believe I have some idea of the accomplishment, a little idea anyway, of the accomplishment of the first step. Can you elaborate the steps? The other two steps I am not at all familiar with. I am Ra. Imagine the body. Imagine the more dense aspects of the body. Proceed therefrom to the very finest knowledge of energy pathways which revolve and cause the body to be energized. Understand that all natural functions of the body have all aspects from dense to fine and can be transmuted to what you may call sacramental. This is a brief investigation of the second area. To speak to the third, imagine, if you will, the function of the magnet. The magnet has two poles. One reaches up, the other goes down. The function of the spirit is to integrate the up-reaching yearning of the mind-body energy with the downpouring of the streaming of infinite intelligence. This is a brief explication of the third area. Questioner: Then would this training program involve specific things to do, specific instructions and exercises? Ra: I am Ra. We are not at this time incarnate among your people. Thus, we can guide and attempt to specify, but cannot by example show. This is a handicap. However, there should indeed be fairly specific exercises of mind, body, and spirit during the teach-learning process we offer. It is to be once again iterated that healing is but one distortion of the law of one. To reach an undistorted understanding of the law, it is not necessary to heal or, indeed, to show any manifestation, but only to exercise the disciplines of understanding. We would ask that one or two more questions be the ending of this session. Questioner: My objective is primarily to discover more of the law of one, and it would be very helpful to discover techniques of healing. I am aware of your problem with respect to free will. You cannot make suggestions, so I will ask you if you can state the law of one and the laws of healing to me. Ra: I am Ra. The law of one, though beyond the limitations of name, as you call vibratory sound complexes, may be approximated by stating that all things are one, that there is no polarity, no right or wrong, no disharmony, but only identity. All is one, and that one is love light, light love, the infinite creator. One of the primal distortions of the law of one is that of healing. Healing occurs when a mind-body-spirit complexes realizes, deep within itself, the law of one. That is, that there is no disharmony, no imperfection, that all is complete and whole and perfect. Thus, the intelligent infinity within the mind-body-spirit complex reforms the illusion of body, mind, or spirit to form a congruent with the law of one. The healer acts as the energizer or catalyst for this completely individual process. One item which may be of interest is that a healer asking to learn must take the distortion understood as responsibility for that ask receiving, thus healing. This is an honor duty which must be carefully considered in the free will before the asking. Questioner: I assume that we should continue tomorrow? Ra: I am Ra. Your assumption is correct unless you feel that a certain question is necessary. This instrument is best nurtured by approximately this length of work. Questioner: One short question. Is this instrument capable of 2 of these sessions per day, or should we remain with 1? Ra: I am Ra. This instrument is capable of 2 sessions a day. However, she must be encouraged to keep her bodily complex strong by the ingestion of your foodstuffs to an extent which exceeds this instrument's normal intake of your foodstuffs. This is due to the physical material which we would use to speak. Further, this instrument's activities must be monitored to prevent overactivity, for this activity is equivalent to a strenuous working on the physical level. If these admonitions are considered, the 2 sessions would be possible. We do not wish to deplete this instrument. Questioner: Thank you, Ra. Ra: I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite intelligence, which is the Creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power of the peace of the one. Adonai. I think it would have been cool if it'd just be like, peace, like something cool when he closed out, but whatever, he never does. Ra is an interesting personality complex, obviously going back to the ancient Egyptian, which a lot of things come from. There's some fun, interesting stories around our creation, They tie back to that. They tie back possibly further. There's a lot of things that are starting to suggest, well, yeah, let's not go there. We'll get there. We'll get there. How about that? King and Queen's Chamber, by the way. I forget which one it was. I don't think it's the King's Chamber for some reason. I actually think it's the Queen's, but I can't remember. One of them's in that juicy spot where they moved the sarcophagus thingy or whatever it was. It was like a table or something. They moved it anyway to the side, and that has thrown off the energies. But it was the focal point of the energies of the pyramid from above and below. Like, very cool thing that kind of happens when you do the math on that. So that was just something I wanted to remind everybody. Healing. So healing's a funny thing. Like, there's a lot of people, and I've met healers. I've done healing to a degree. Like, we all can. Again, there's people that get really, really serious about it, and there's levels of purity that you can get into, and you can get into a lot of the different salves, and really like there's people that just really get into it, and that's awesome. And those are some of your more doctor-esque healers, if you will, that are out there. There's a lot of people that can just do field healing, if you will. I'd put myself in that category more. I'm aware of a lot of what healing has to do with, and so a couple things. One, the actual consciousness of the individual that's being healed needs to be able to accept this. Law of confusion type stuff can kick in, so they've got to be able to accept this as a possibility, however that may be, that this energy can come through this individual and in fact cause healing to occur. And it totally happens a lot. There's many, many examples of miracles like this, but you have to be able to believe it. Otherwise, you're just messing around if you're literally trying to heal somebody that can't believe that's possible. Many would say, I don't know, I could imagine people saying, like, oh, Jesus did this and that. Well, the people that Jesus supposedly healed anyways were, from a soul level, aware of the fact that they were going to have this transformation to being healed. So it was actually an agreed upon thing. Not everybody that Jesus touched became healed, and he wasn't necessarily trying to heal everybody. So there was some intelligence behind when and why, right? So healing is an interesting thing. And then also, when you get into the energies that exist inside of people, like, so if you're service to self, service to others, if you're more like service to self, that's not just being selfish, because I think there's a lot of people that might misconstrue, but it's actually literally to the point of your whole world's about you, for sure, 95% of the time, and it's all about getting people to do stuff for you constantly. Like, you're always looking to have somebody do stuff for you. You don't want to do it, versus trying to help another individual do something, which is really the big difference. So there's a huge proponent of that energy transference that happens during, quote, healing. So if you've got someone that's darker, got some evil stuff creeping inside of them, or maybe attachments, I would call it, typically from a healing standpoint. I've definitely helped and stuff like that many a time. Like I said, field healing. I can dabble, and certainly there are people that will get attachments. I've actually self-healed to a degree. You have someone help you, but there's a lot that can go into it. But you can also be a negative energy and try to heal someone and actually cause more problems. And so this is one of those things. It's not quite like crazy Ouija board yet, but you're getting into the realm of if the person that's doing the healing for you is not a real good energy, you actually could cause some issues to yourself. Now, this kind of breaks into the next big point. Know thyself. Knowing thyself is the most important thing on the path, period. It's the thing nobody wants to do, too. That's the one thing I've learned. It's like sit-ups. Like, I don't know, it reminds me, too. I got my little ab roller, and I have not done that in a while. It's gonna hurt. But we got to do it. And that's the thing. None of us want to do the work that we need to do. It's easier to point fingers and be like, well, then the med beds will come in and it'll fix my stomach and I'll have a six-pack, right? Like, or whatever. Like, and I'm not saying med beds aren't real. I'm just saying they're not going to give you a six-pack yet. It's about knowing thyself. It's about doing the things that we need to do as individuals to take the next step forward. This is a journey. 1,000 miles. Began with a step a long-ass time ago. We've come a very long ways, and one would assume we're close, but then again, is it destination driven, right? Because we're going to hit this sweet spot and then, well, it's golden age now. I mean, we're just going to be, right? So things are getting interesting. Know thyself. Know what triggers you. Know what you need to work on. Know what karma keeps popping up. Forgive people that keep doing that thing to you that pisses you off, because it might very well be because you keep doing it yourself. Upward reaching of the downward intelligence. I thought that was a really downward intelligence, infinite intelligence, I should say. So the idea that we're reaching up, we're asking questions. I was responding to someone, this Laura individual, and I was like, it's really about asking the questions. That's actually the hardest part about the spiritual process, or this path, I think, is to ask questions to Source, Creator, Lord, God, whatever you want. Ask questions, and then let the answers come to you. And don't just say they have to come in one place. Let it show up where it shows up, because that is really kind of the key. And this is what I was explaining to my friend is that it comes down to the fact that I know I'm interconnected with the experience I have in life, like in reality, right? The things that happen in my physical world seem to be related to the stuff that's going on inside of my physical head, or whatever that is. And the people I bump into, the things that happen, I see it all over the place. And I realize how I'm connected to what I experience. Now, what you experience is your reality, not necessarily mine. Now, we're all saying we share this reality. A lot of us talk about the news and stuff like that, right? But none of us really actually know, unless it's in your own backyard. We really don't. We assume, we imagine, but we don't really know, and it doesn't really matter, because it doesn't really affect us, per se. We are moving through an interesting time spiritually as a society. It was one of the things I also had written down here as my last point, and then we'll see if there's any questions out there. But 4th to 6th density. So a lot of people, well, I don't know. 3rd density, I think, is, there's some people I think are graduating from that. It's a very kind of basic level. Most people are graduating 4th density is kind of my take on the information anyways. I would say dogs and cats, like pets, they are probably graduating or into the early phases, I should say, of the 3rd density. And that's why a lot of us feel like there's little souls inside of them. They totally are. They're becoming people. They're learning. It's pretty beautiful when you start to realize not necessarily how Darwin's evolution works, but actually how spiritual or soul evolution works. And you start to really appreciate how we're all playing a role in that right now. And that, I think, is where the magic really lies. So 4th to 6th density. I don't think polarity is supposed to be totally existing in this next phase on the planet. At least that's what I'm gotten all over the place from everywhere. And it kind of feels right to me. Like evil's not really, that's a very service to self path. They're just not going to be incarnating on this sphere anymore, this planet, this earth, this Gaia, whatever. Many people call it a lot of names. She's alive as well, too, by the way. She's got a great consciousness. I mean, whether she's round or flat, she's alive. So, again, a lot to be said around those topics. I don't know how much of it gets into Law of One, but this all ties to me. So, apparently she wants to graduate as well and stop having all this fighting and war and all this nasty stuff because it's not cool. She doesn't like it. And so there's going to be this graduation into the 4th density. 4th density, service to others. And we don't necessarily have to have service to self people around in order to live service to others, because, the polarity doesn't need to exist. You're aware of it. So maybe there is a one person, or like whatever. There might be something that is that opposite, but it's not really focused on like we kind of do here. Here, like evil's really got a voice. So through that process of the service to helping other people and doing that better and better and more, you are able to kind of graduate through that channel, that process. And there's a 4th, 5th, and then 6th, supposedly, that's when you come back into unity or harmony. And that's what they keep talking about, how there is no such thing as evil or good, because everything's an aspect of the yin-yang, if you will. Easiest way to kind of imagine it. Every component of whatever it is, every component of hot has a little bit of cold, right? Like it's that component is reality. So nothing is all bad or is all good. There's no such, that concept is kind of absurd. You teach, learn, you're good, bad, you're up, down, you're left, right. It's like you're a mixture of those things at all times, but you're never fully just one. There's no such thing as binary terms. So again, it's a lot of the things that we're, I don't know, kind of growing through, I guess. All right, let's see. First off, let's see if I can figure out how to pull up the chat. I thought I popped it out at one point, but maybe I didn't. Now I am. Let's bring it over here and see what's going on. Let me check my text here. I don't know. I got A-Score helping me out. Let's see. I'll text you questions if there are any. No questions so far. I like that. Oh, September posted a question. All right, what's September posting? Influenced. Do you think the brand Liquid Death is really a bad idea? So there's a couple ways to look at that. It's a great question, actually. There's a couple ways to look at that. What's it called? Liquid Death. That's awesome. Is Liquid Death a bad idea? So when you think of people that are asleep, when you think of people that are being manipulated right now, the concept of liquid death is being used, like dangled in front of them, kind of ha 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 ha. But literally, that's what the can is. It's a can of chemicals that are not going to help you. So it is like essentially liquid death. And it is serving the purpose for the people that are probably not going to graduate. And it is the dark side or the service to self side or evil or whatever that is choosing to use the law of one, which exists for both sides. It's the rules of the playing field. This is why it's so friggin' important to me. Because most people don't even know the damn rules of the game that they're playing. They think they're like, oh, it's a movie, it's a game. It's like, do you know the rules? Mm-hmm. This is in the Bible, right? No. I mean, yeah, no. Some of it. There's a bunch of other stuff, though. And this is the stuff they're doing against us. And so most of us don't see it or get it, and that's the hard part. So liquid death, yes, definitely. Marketing, idiots, the sheeple. But the people that are really awake should also be able to look at that and instantly go, yeah, no, that's not a good idea. And that's the other side of the law of one. That's those of us that are going to ascend, that are going to make it. We're actually stepping through the minefield, I should say, and stepping carefully, because one wrong step, that's it. So, yeah, cracking open, I mean, granted, I drink, but I don't know, there's a lot of, wine goes back a long ways in the Bible and stuff. So probably, it says on the bag that I take to get refilled that it's considered fruit juice. Yeah, it is. So, no, I agree with, that's a great question. Liquid death. So a lot of this marketing's done to us. I mean, it's one of the things that I dislike about network media, by the way, just while I'm on the subject and maybe seeing if I see any other questions in here. Do you need me to buy you a razor? Hollow fan? No, man. I like the scruff though. That's what I'm going for, man. I'm sorry, or ma'am, whatever. No, don't need a razor. I like being scruffy. It's a good look, and I can go like days. That's why I do it. I've constructed this. I look like I'm poor wherever I go, and it works. It's a good look. So yeah, 4 through 6 density. I think there's a lot of us. I was asking, I think it's Pet, because he read this back when he was 13, and I was asking him where he thought he was in the density schedule, if you will, and he was like 5th, 6th, and I'm like, that's what I'm feeling too from you. And I think 6th, pretty solid, and we'll get there. It's interesting because a lot of us are helping other people that are coming up through the ascension process. A lot of you guys have already ascended before. You might not remember it, you might not believe it, whatever. We're not going to get worried about that. But a lot of you guys are here to help. Your light's very bright, and it's super, super important to get you to realize that you're co-creating, that your bright lights actually, when that nut job just walked up to you, it's not accidental. Everyone says there's no coincidences, and then they manufacture some crazy-ass weird coincidence. Sure. But when it's your own life and something happens, that's you and Creator just had an experience. Why? And that's where when we start to consciously work within the life that we're experiencing, you will be amazed what happens. It is powerful. Service to self versus service to others seems to be key. Absolutely. Chad Ben 69. It's an interesting mix of first names. I like that. My new brother-in-law is doing the same trying to grow a beard. I'm not trying to grow a beard, folks. If I wanted to grow a beard, I could get all manly on you. And that's the thing that was funny when I was in radio, by the way. Everyone, that when they hadn't met me yet, like I was younger too. I was like, I was probably like 30-ish at the time. And so I had deep pipes, and I was smoking even too at the time. So I had that great kind of grizzle to it. And people would meet me, and they had like I was like 6'5". I was like 250 pounds. I had a giant beard. Like everybody always, and then they'd see me and they'd be like, "Wow, like whoa, you skinny little bastard, F you, kid." Basically, I mean, just saying. So yeah, that was a big part of the whole radio experience and trying to grow a beard, I guess we're saying. Let's see. Trudeau, you got anybody asking questions? I see A-Score. A-Score, am I missing anything in there? Dan, Liquid Death, where did that come from? I don't know. Some weird marketing place. I3 Royal. Liquid, it was a text message is where I got it from. If you're like, where the hell did I pull that out of? It's in a text message. Somebody in our chat was talking about it earlier. But that's it. Yeah, chia. Time for chia beard. Chia. That's what you're doing. Thanks, Jim. Now I'm there with you. I'm there. See? He pushed that whole thing across. That's beautiful. Hi, Dan and the OTF family. Telling you, it's nice to have you guys. Yeah, so again, with the whole idea of understanding service to self, service to others is a big deal. And look, here's the thing. And I've said this before, like I've got people close to me that are service to self. I don't know if they might actually, I don't know. I don't think they're going to graduate, but I think they're surprisingly close. It's much more difficult to graduate service to self, by the way. Much, much more difficult. And some people have probably graduated that path also and are on this path now too, because they've been both. And sometimes it's knowing the big picture is really what it's all about. I don't want to get too off in the weeds as well. But it looks like, all of this on the walls in Egypt. Yeah, good water woman. You're a really, really good water woman. Water woman. That's actually a cool name. Let's see, Bullshit World, cool name. Also, yeah. So it looks like we nothing's popping up. So that's good. No questions. A lot of people are wanting to tie this to Christianity. I would say this isn't a religion. It's kind of like, again, sort of understanding the rules a little better of the game that we're all part of. Like the Bible's kind of more of a historical document, really, right? I mean, for most people, I think that, especially like really, into it. So that it's kind of different. Like, that's sort of the history, and then this is sort of the rules of the now of the board of the game that we're playing right now, and then and we kind of start to meld those together a little better, and I think we start to become ascendable or graduatable or harvestable, I think is the term they use in Law of One. Guys, I love you. I still haven't come up with an ending yet. I'll probably have to work on this, but I'm enjoying just being lazy, frankly. But we'll play the intro on the way out, and I'll probably update that too as well. Maybe we'll have a few of them I can rotate so they're not so boring. But was it Alan Watts or whatever? I love that dude. Dude's awesome. And so just trying to gotta watch a lot of his quotes just to get some good stuff that seems to fit. But thank you guys for joining me on the second one. We'll be doing sessions 5 and 6 next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Appreciate you guys being here. I love you guys. And we are doing this together. It's a big, important thing for all of us. So remember that. And we will get there through the awesome Graceland. Thank you guys for joining. We'll do it again next week.
Meditation is supposed to be fun. It's not something you do as a grim duty. The trouble with religion as we know it is that it is so mixed up with grim duties. We do it because it's good for you. It's a kind of self-punishment. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. And brings us into a state of peace where we can understand that the point of life, the place where it's at, is simply here and now.
This moment is the creation of the universe. It's starting now. If you look back and wonder whether there was a big bang a long time ago, all you'll see is vanishing traces. The Big Bang is happening now. This is when the world begins. You're doing it. Only you're not doing it by straining. A you deeper than the straining you is doing all this. The same you that is growing your hair and coloring your eyes and making your thumbprints and all that. You don't think about it. You don't strain muscles to do it. But that is what is creating the world. Here it comes. Now. So instead of thinking that the past is the reality which explains everything that happens now, let's look at now.